Let's me and you talk about skins for a little while. When they're not being found in loot boxes or $60 games, they're generally one of the most acceptable forms of microtransactions. No RNG, no effect on gameplay, just a good old purchase of a JPEG that makes the brain chemicals happy. But from a character design perspective, skins are weird, at least to me. I usually like to judge a design by how effectively it achieves its goal, and I think the goal of character design should be to convey what a character is about, a proverbial what the dog doing, if you will. But skins simply don't have that goal because they're usually not even canon. They're not tied down to the boring responsibilities of lore, backstory, and God forbid character growth. They exist purely for fun, and sometimes a lot of money. Skins can give designers a lot of creative freedom, allowing for cyborg ninjas within high fantasy, and eldritch horrors in more grounded settings. And personally, I find that awesome. Who cares if a summer skin is over-sexualized, or a Halloween skin is really campy? That's explicitly the whole point, Lord be damned. However, what if you wanted to make a skin canon, and turn what could have been a lighthearted cosmetic into the new canon representation of one of your most beloved characters? You saw the thumbnail, so you know where this is going. Let's have a chat about all of the negatives and positives of Chalter. Chen the Hollingday was announced 1 year ago on Arknights CN server to a somewhat mixed reception. This was somewhat unexpected given that Chen is one of the most beloved characters in Arknights. Some were mad that yet another limited unit was going to be meta-defining, and some were just joking about how she looked oddly familiar. But others genuinely felt betrayed in a way because their favorite stern Draco lady was being turned into a bikini-wearing joke. So how out of left field is Chalter's design really? Well, to answer that, we have to start with the basics. Who even was Chen before? Chen is not just another side character, she's one of the central driving forces in multiple main story chapters. So there's a lot of material that I could cover, and while that sounds like fun, it would take way too long and is something that has already been done by other handsome fellows on this website. But to summarize, Chen is the no-nonsense sheriff in town with a troubled past and a big iron on her hip. That was only partially a joke. Perhaps the most important thing to note about Chen is that she is the half-sister of Tallulah, you know, the main antagonist of the first 8 chapters. And as you can imagine, this caused her childhood to be on hard mode. As a result of this, she had to grow up rather fast, and when we meet her in the story, she can come off as cold and commanding. At her core, Chen is a good person who just wants to help others, but life has taught her that good intentions simply don't do enough in a world of red tape and jerk snakes, so she hides that soft underbelly behind a somewhat cold exterior. She's kind of a tsundere. This core tension defines a lot of who she is and why she does the things that she does. She joins the Lungming police because she wants to help people, but quickly finds herself wrapped up in politics and conspiracy, unable to even help the large infected population within her city due to laws enacted by her own family. Over the course of many chapters, and with a lot of exposure to the ball of optimism known as Emiya, she eventually sticks up for herself. She confronts her father, quits the police, and saves her sister, finally living up to the hero of justice she probably always wanted to be. In the most recent chapter, Chen has come full circle, and seems much more open and free to act on her strong sense of justice. With all that being said, does it make any sense that after a time skip, we find that she's playing around in a bikini and has traded her precious dragon katana away for a squirt gun? Well, yes, actually. I think that Chalter's design, while not perfect, is unironically quite good. Chalter is a rather logical next step for a character like Chen. Her whole life she's been restricted and restrained by outside forces, so it's actually quite heartwarming to see that she's finally got a chance to literally let her hair down and have some fun. Within the story of Docilus Holiday, she can still be hard-headed and stubborn, but she also has a more open and friendly demeanor. I mean, she managed to power creep Silver Ash with a squirt gun, so she's doing pretty alright for herself. What I'm basically trying to say is that Chen in a bikini is wholesome to me, but what I'm not saying is that Chalter was a perfect idea. While I like her design, it really does not scream the official current design for Chen until Chalter 2, where she fires swords from her guns, is released. This is less of a problem with Chalter herself and more of a problem with the precedent that other altar units have set within Arknights. Previous altars such as Lava or Scotty feel much more like actual permanent steps forward for their respective characters, where Chalter is more like a fun side story. And I feel like a lot of people were just disappointed that they didn't get the more fully realized hero of justice that we'll likely encounter in future chapters. At the end of the day, even while I like Chalter's design, I must admit that it might have been better off as some kind of fancy new live 2D art skin. But as always, these were all just my opinions, and so if you disagree with them, you can tell me how wrong I am in the comments. Before you do though, we all have to admit at least on one thing. Ducky is obviously the new best girl.
すまない。変なことを聞いたな。